T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. You've probably heard of it. It's one of the most famous poems ever written. But what if I told you we might have been reading it wrong for an entire century? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a hidden layer of meaning that makes this old poem feel shockingly new. Right, so for 100 years, the story's been the same. This poem is all about the trauma of World War I. But what if its real subject is something else? A totally different kind of global catastrophe that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. And look, this standard interpretation makes a lot of sense. For a century, this has been the textbook answer. The poem came out in 1922, and it was seen as the perfect artistic response to the Great War, this incredible portrait of a generation's shattered, disillusioned soul. But let's ask a new question. What if that feeling of cultural sickness, that pervasive fear and breakdown, isn't just about the trenches? What if the poem is actually channeling the trauma of a different, but just as devastating global event? Something like a pandemic? To really get this theory, we have to go back. We need to put ourselves in 1922 and try to see the world through T.S. Eliot's eyes. Now, here's a key piece of the puzzle, something that often gets overlooked. T.S. Eliot, the man writing about this sick and broken world, was a survivor. He actually lived through the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, a catastrophe that infected a third of the entire planet and killed tens of millions of people. That had to leave a mark, right? The poem itself is, let's be honest, famously difficult. It's not a simple story you can follow from A to B. It's more like a collage, a jumble of different voices, languages, and moods all stitched together. But that fragmented structure, it isn't just a weird artistic choice. It's actually the key to this whole thing. So let's get into the heart of it. How exactly does this famously complex poem mirror the experience of living through a massive global pandemic? Well, the parallels are pretty striking when you lay them out. You can basically map the poem's major themes directly onto the psychological and social fallout of a pandemic. You've got the fragmented structure mirroring our disrupted, uncertain lives. You've got the obsession with death and decay reflecting the constant anxiety about illness. And that deep spiritual emptiness, it perfectly captures the feeling of losing your sense of normalcy. So let's break each one down. Okay, first up, fragmentation. The poem is just chaotic. It jumps between speakers, scenes, even languages, with absolutely no warning. And this isn't just Eliot trying to be artsy. It's a powerful reflection of a fractured reality, a world where the old predictable order has completely fallen apart. I mean, just think about it in our own terms. A pandemic shatters our routines, right? It messes with our sense of time. We can't plan for the future. Life stops feeling like a neat, linear story and starts feeling like a series of disjointed, confusing moments. The poem's form is its message here. It feels like a crisis. All right, the second parallel is the poem's overwhelming sense of sickness. The whole thing is just saturated with images of death, sterility, and decay. This wasteland isn't just spiritually sick, it feels physically sick too. It perfectly echoes that collective anxiety around illness and death that a pandemic forces on all of us. And get this line from one of the sections, burning, burning, burning. The repetition is so visceral, you can almost feel it. It's not just some abstract metaphor for suffering, it's a powerful echo of the physical sensation of a fever, a direct gut punch linked to the experience of being sick. The third and final parallel is this profound sense of spiritual crisis. The characters in The Wasteland are just adrift. All the old systems of faith, of society, of meaning, they've all crumbled, leaving this huge hollowness right at the center of their world. And doesn't that sound familiar? It perfectly mirrors what happens during a massive societal disruption. When normalcy totally collapses, people start to question everything, their institutions, their beliefs, their connections to each other. The poem absolutely nails that deep sense of disorientation. Okay, so after all that darkness and decay, you might be thinking this poem is just completely hopeless. But that's not the whole story. Eliot builds towards something else, something unexpected. After over 400 lines of fragmentation and spiritual drought, the poem doesn't just end in collapse, it pivots. It offers this tiny chance for renewal, a hint of human resilience, even in the face of absolute devastation. The poem ends with these three strange words, repeated. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now imagine you're a reader in 1922. You've just emerged from the chaos of a war and a pandemic. What on earth could this possibly mean? Well, it's a Sanskrit term. It's a formal closing for a prayer, and it translates to the peace which passeth understanding. How amazing is that? After all the noise, the fever, and the fear, the poem doesn't give us some easy, happy ending. Instead, it offers a profound plea for a kind of peace that goes beyond all the chaos. It's a prayer for healing. So, why does any of this matter? Why should we care about a pandemic reading of a century-old poem? What does it change for us? Right here, right now. Because this reading transforms the wasteland from some dusty historical artifact into a timeless mirror. It shows us the poem isn't just about World War I. It's about the universal human response to any massive collective trauma. It reflects our own experiences with disruption, fear, and that slow, difficult search for meaning. In this light, the poem is as relevant today as it ever was. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? If Eliot's poem managed to capture the soul of his crisis, what art is being created right now that will help future generations understand ours? What poems or films or novels will become our generation's wasteland?